name is Oliver Gajek. My company is called Whiteout Networks. We specialize in cloud security, protecting customers' emails via applying strong encryption. I think in terms of the creative industries, in terms of, and specifically in terms of high technology in the area of creative industries, there are two things that are really remarkable. One of them is just the availability of technology. So the capital investment to start a company in the creative space, and that can be technology, that can be gaming, that can be entertainment, is so much lower. So the entry barrier to just getting started is just fantastically low compared to 15 years ago. The other thing that's really remarkable, again, primarily for high tech, is that we now understand much better how to manage the process of running a high tech venture at the appropriate time in its life cycle. The challenges that we now have is that as the entry barrier to execution becomes so low that you don't know if you have a good idea or a bad idea. So people get underway, but they don't necessarily know if they do it right or if they do it wrong. The key issue now becomes for companies to get very early market and customer and user validation, to leave the lab and to get out in front of a customer or a user as early as possible. The good news is that customers today, especially in the younger generation, are highly tolerant for unfinished product as long as there is a promise attached that the product will grow in an interesting way. Generally, I would think that the whole social network ecosystem is a fantastic way for an early interaction with a potential target audience, for an early interaction and an early validation. And when we see people pave the way towards bigger movie production via digital shorts, when we see 99-cent novels by installment on Amazon, when we see today entrepreneurs running Google ads for products that they haven't built yet, but they want to gauge the level of feedback to those ads, then we're seeing people engage with an audience very early, and then you just have to calibrate your promise to that audience very carefully so that they won't feel betrayed if you don't have what you promised at that time. So in Spotify, a band can just publish their catalog and generate interest. In Amazon, I can become a publisher and produce directly to print on demand. I can produce directly to Google. In YouTube, I can set myself up as a video provider and start generating revenue. So with the digital channels for fulfillment, with social networks for building up awareness and communication, and with the end users starting to be habituated again to talk directly to the producer, to the artist, to the creator, with no intermediation accepted, that becomes a much more direct and much more intimate interaction. And that again gives very different economic and entrepreneurial possibilities. And the direct interaction between the artist or content producer or developer will be much more direct with the end user audience. Well, I think the general advice is to be very, very aware of the social networks. And the company has to learn and has to be very sensitive to learning the laws of that specific environment. And presenting yourself on Facebook versus presenting yourself on Twitter versus presenting yourself on YouTube or LinkedIn. Those are very different forms of packaging, very different promises that you make, very different interaction paradigms. So companies have to harness these tools, but they also have to be fairly smart about it. And one of the things that I always caution against is to look for marketing automation tools where you blast out things into all channels at the same time. Those generally are not a good idea because customers in the different channels expect for you to talk to them quite differently. One size fits all is a really bad idea because then you'll look generic and out of place in every single channel. I'd rather recommend people, if they're in the consumer environment, focus on Facebook. If you're in a business and professional environment, leave Facebook aside, don't even go there. Focus on Twitter and LinkedIn to reach your professional audience. And you should be able to make that decision very early in the process. In the software world, which is my domain, The area of user experience and front-end design has become critically more important. So having people who really understand beautiful screens and beautiful icons and beautiful typography becomes a critical element, where previously all you need were hardcore computer science graduates. The other thing that is always discussed about the clusters and about the co-working space is how much explicit guidance, how much explicit management of the process can be applied, and does that generate additional value. And there I would say that the facilities and the access to the facilities, including the access to funding, is for me the most important aspect to getting things going.